Hi, everybody. Good morning. Well, afternoon, even. It is Sarah here. I'm a cozy mystery author. And I wanted to just chat a little bit about the. My candles are rattling. I wanted to just chat a little bit about the hero in the story, which is something I never really thought about, but I'm currently reading Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody, which I've been wanting to read for a really, really long time. And if you haven't, I'm not sponsored by them or anything. I had to buy this myself. And I wanted the print book, which is good for kind of scribbling notes and things in. But if you wanted a copy and you're being frugal like me, then you can get it for free with, I've put an Audible link in the description box. And the second book that I'm going to talk about today is Romancing the Beat, which is the other book that I read, which I found really helpful. And that one is in Kindle Unlimited, so you can download that one for free with the free Kindle Unlimited trial, which is in the description as well. So yeah, I'm not trying to sell a book to you, but if you are looking for a book, this is really good. I'm only in the beginning bit so far, but I have read the script version for my script writing, which is also really good. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the hero in the story, because it's something I never really thought about that much until more recently. So for those of you who probably don't know me, last year I wrote my very first book, a cozy mystery called Dead on Donuts, which is available free on Saturday if you want to download and read it. And I was in a pretty dark place when I wrote that book, and my second book, Bard to the Bone, was kind of the same. Basically, I was living in the Lake District, and my landlords decided to sell the house. And so I ended up trying to find somewhere that would accept pets, which was impossible. Everything was really expensive. So I ended up in a B&B. It's kind of a long story. And so, yeah, it was a bit of a dark place. And I wrote the story not ever thinking I'd publish it or anything like that. I really just wrote it for myself to kind of cheer myself up in this kind of dark place. And around the same time, I've been working on ABC Murders, The Romanoffs, and Gentleman Jack, filming them at the studio. So I've been surrounded by a lot of kind of mystery stories, which is when I realised I actually loved mysteries, and that's when I discovered cozy mysteries. And so I kind of moved house, moved into this one room in the B&B with my pets, was in a bit of a grim place, wasn't really sure what was going on, had to give up my film work because I couldn't leave the pets at the B&B. And so to cheer myself up, I'd never really written before, but I decided to write this story, which is called Dead on Donuts, which is book one in my coffee shop mystery series. And then I wrote the first animal cozy mystery, which is Bard to the Bone, which is about a collie dog, a sheepdog. But when I wrote them, I plotted things out because they're mysteries and I needed clues and things like that. But I didn't think about the hero in my story. I just wrote them. I didn't think about the hero's goal or the hero's journey or anything like that. It was a mystery. I had my amateur sleuths. And with cozy mysteries, the main character in the story, the hero, I suppose, is always going to be, I don't know if it's always going to be the case, but it seems to be always the case that for a cozy mystery or a murder mystery, it's written from the perspective of the person solving the crime. And they have to be present in all the scenarios because otherwise they wouldn't see the clues. So if you think about Agatha Christie, Miss Marple, Poirot has to see everything or has to collect the evidence in order to solve the crime. You can't have things happening where he's not there. He still needs to find out about them. So I suppose that's a little bit different to other stories where you can have different perspectives, different points of view. And so, yeah, that got me thinking about the kind of hero in the story. And with a cozy mystery, the hero of the story really has to be the amateur sleuth. Cozy mysteries only have amateur sleuths. They're not, you can't really have a detective or something like that. They have to be kind of amateur. But the hero has to be the person solving the crime. So in some ways, if you think about stories, like all stories have a hero in them, and all of those heroes, the main hero always has a main goal, and they always have a flaw as well. So thinking about television, I'm watching something at the moment, a series on, I think it's on Netflix, I'm watching it, called The Alienist, which is set in kind of New York. I think it's Victorian. A little bit like Sherlock Holmes, and he's kind of a psychologist, but psychologists weren't really a thing back then. But his goal is to solve the murders, and his flaw is that he's not very socially he's a bit of an oddball. Like he struggles to fit into society in some way. So he's got this, we've just discovered in episode 4, which is where I am now, that he's got this bad arm, but we don't really know his backstory yet, so that's starting to come out. But if you think about like Grey's Anatomy, the hero of that story, of that series, is Meredith Grey, and it's kind of her journey. And when you're thinking about the hero, the most important thing is that the reader can connect with the hero, with their goal. In my case, of the cozy mystery, the goal of the sleuth is to solve the crime, but they also have a flaw, but that flaw really needs to be something that you can connect with as well. So if you think of Meredith Grey in Grey's Anatomy, probably not many of us can associate or kind of understand what it is to be a surgeon, but we understand what it's like to start a new job, to have colleagues, to have the stress and struggle of balancing career and family, that kind of thing. And the same with The Alienist, or if you think about Stranger Things, we probably don't have superpowers or things like that when we're not living in Victorian times now, but we can still connect with the flaws of those characters. And the other thing I was thinking about was that normally the hero is the first person that you meet in the book or in the series, either through people talking about that character or through the character telling the story, kind of narrating the story. So that was the other thing that kind of got me thinking. But then when I was thinking about Stranger Things, the first character we meet is the policeman, but he isn't really the main character, and he disappears partway through the series. I don't know whether they'll bring him back or not in the next series because he's died. But in some ways, the main character in that series is the character of Elle. So it's kind of her journey, her life journey, like her experiences, but we don't actually meet her for quite a long time in the beginning. So that really just got me thinking. And so, yeah, when I wrote my first 2 books, Dead on Donuts and Barred to the Bone, I actually have a hero, but I didn't give any thought to the hero's goal, kind of what drives them, their characteristics, their flaws, and what they hope to achieve. But they still actually, in hindsight, my characters still grow. They still go on a journey. They still grow over the space of the book, and they still meet their goal at the end. But they don't have to meet their goal. But in a cozy mystery, they probably do, because otherwise it wouldn't really be a cozy mystery, because they wouldn't have solved the crime. But yeah, it just really got me thinking a little bit about those kind of things. And I think the first time I really came across that idea, that concept of the hero, was when I read Romancing the Beat, and I wrote Poisoned in Paradise, which isn't out yet, which I'm going back through now, because I wrote it as a kind of a romance or romantic comedy, and now I'm putting the mystery in it kind of retrospectively, so that's a little bit of a different project. That was a story I had to tell, like a passion project, that just came to me, which I kind of just wrote and didn't like plan out in the same way. So, but when I wrote that one, my main character, Fenella, it's set in the Caribbean. She's this kind of a big lady. She's a public health officer who has to solve, like she's a crime fighter. So I had her goal in mind when I wrote that, because I'd read Romancing the Beat, and that's a really, really good book, especially if you want to write romance books. So I definitely recommend that. But that was the first time I'd kind of thought about that hero's journey, about goals, about flaws, about what the characters want, what's stopping them, and what things they have to overcome in order to achieve their goals and to grow as people. And I suppose that's like people in normal life as well, but they also you have to be able to relate to them as the reader. You've got to be able to connect to them, even if they're a murderer or, an alien, whatever they are. There has to be something that you can connect to with them. So, yeah, I definitely think I've got better at that in stories. And it's interesting now because I'm writing book 2 in my series in my coffee shop mystery series. So book 1 was Dead on Donuts, which I had no idea about the hero. And in book 2, Extra Shots, which I'm writing now, I now have an understanding of heroes and heroes' journeys. So it's quite interesting because I'm taking the same character that I wrote last year, but now I understand that character more. And now I know, like, my character's called Maddie. She's quite young. She's quite privileged. She went to boarding school in Oxford. She's not short on money. She wants to be a detective. And she's saving up for, like, during her gap year, ready to go to university. So that kind of, when I was thinking about it, I was like, well, what's her goal? Well, her goal is to solve the crime. And that's either in book 1, it was to clear her name because she got arrested for a murder she didn't commit. And in this one, in book 2, she's actually kind of forced into that situation again because she's trying to clear the name of her best friend who's been accused of murder. So it's kind of, there's always a motive there. So that's her goal, is to solve the crime for different reasons. And in terms of her flaws, she's quite young, she's quite naive. This is her first time really abroad. She's been quite protected in growing up in boarding school and privilege. And so she's quite naive in that respect. Like, this is her first experience in the wider world. So in that way, she has to grow and she has to grow up because she's quite young and quite innocent still. So yeah. And then I was thinking, once I got my main hero, it's quite interesting because when I did Poison in Paradise, I then went through and I looked at all of my characters in that story, in that book, and I did the same for all of them. So I wanted to know what each character's goal was, and I wanted to know what each character's flaw was as well. And so that really helped me to kind of put the hurdles and stumbling blocks in for them so that they would all grow over the space of the book, and the reader would have something to connect with each of them as they developed. So I've been finding that really, really interesting. And my next series I'm going to be writing, which I'm processing at the moment, just thinking about, is based on 3 women who, it's a 3-book series, but I need to have 4 mysteries. So 1 mystery for each of the books and a 4th mystery, which will be like an arc for the whole series. And that's set in the 1950s in Birmingham in England. And each of those women will have their own, will be the hero, because each of them will be their own amateur sleuth in each of the books. And they will each have to have a main goal to solve the mystery. And they'll also have individual flaws as well. I don't know what those flaws are going to be yet because I'm still processing. I know that they're going to be 3 women. I've got the names for them. One is Beryl, one is Charlotte, and one is Victoria. And I know what their jobs are. They all work in this factory together in the 1950s. And yeah, it's quite interesting now to go back and kind of, as the characters come to life in my head, as I start to put them together and piece them together and understand who they are, bring a little bit of psychology into it, thinking about what makes them tick, you know, what their goal is at the end of the day, what their motivation is. And it doesn't just have to be to solve a mystery. It needs to be very specific as well. So it could be just, you know, to have a better relationship with somebody, or to clear a debt, to get a promotion. It could be anything like that. So yeah, very, very interesting. This is the book that I'm reading, and at the end of chapter 1, there are 2 exercises to do. One says, is my hero story worthy? So who is the hero of your story? So in my case, with Extra Shots, my hero is Madeline. And what is their big problem or flaw? So for Madeline in Extra Shots, she's come across this body, this murder, and she has to try and solve the crime. So that's her kind of biggest problem. Or I suppose it's her goal, actually. Yeah, I think that's probably her goal. That's her goal. So her biggest problem or flaw is the fact that she's quite naive and quite young. So that's something she has to overcome. And I quite like the expression that they use about what's causing the problem or the flaw. So what is the shard of glass? What's the thing that hurt them, the wound that they have, which is healed but not quite, which has probably scarred them for life, that's still impacting them and affecting them through everything else they do. What's causing the problem or flaw? So what's the shard of glass? And at the start of the novel, what does your hero want? So in Maddie's case, she basically wants justice to be served. She wants the world to be a better place. And it's all about proving her friend's innocence, and seeing justice served to the actual murderer, and I suppose justice on behalf of the person who's been murdered as well. So yeah, how has your hero been actively pursuing this goal? So in my case, Maddie has been pursuing her goal by looking for clues and trying to solve the murder. So interviewing people, looking for clues, that kind of thing. Why haven't they achieved this goal yet? So kind of roadblocks, and these can be internal, external, or both. So in the case of Fenella in Poison in Paradise, that's a romance, and so I guess the goal in a romance is to find love at the end of the day, and there might be different reasons why the person struggles to find love. So it could be that they've been hurt in a previous relationship, or maybe they're busy with work and so they don't meet many people, or they don't have time for relationships, or they're not ready to make a compromise. So yeah, that could be like an internal thing. An external thing, maybe in the romance, they've got people who don't want them. That's Alexa talking right there. Maybe they don't. Wednesday. Alexa, stop. Yeah, maybe it's external things. So it could be like if you have two people from different religions. Alexa, stop. And I'll remember it for next time. Where should I do it? Alexa, stop. And what does your hero actually need? So what is their life lesson? So it could be that they need to be more open to relationships, that kind of thing. And then there's a check yourself session. I'm laughing now because it's going off. Does your hero change more than any other character in the novel? So I guess that helps you to decide. In my case, Maddie is the main sleuth, but she also has a sidekick. So she does change more than any other character in the book. But is there problem or flaw specific? In Maddie's case, not really. She's just quite young and naive, and she's first time away from home, so she's growing up and learning about the world. Does the flaw create a desperate need for change? Not really. She doesn't have like major flaws, just inexperience, really. Is their goal tangible and concrete so that the readers know when or if it's achieved? In a cozy mystery, definitely yes, because the mystery readers don't like cliffhangers, so the mystery definitely needs to be solved by the end of the book. And so we'll definitely know because there's normally an arrest. So the police come and the crime is solved and everything is revealed. So yeah, that's normally in the last chapter. So it's pretty obvious. And if it's not, then I don't think the readers will be very happy at all. And is your hero's need or life lesson universal? And would a random person on the street understand it? So I guess that's where your reader can understand the book, can relate to the character. So it could be that somebody's just like not a very nice person and they need to learn how to be a nicer person. But yeah, in the case of, if you think of Meredith Grey, we can relate to her because she has all the daily struggles and things of juggling career and life that most of us have. She loses somebody in her life, so she loses Derek, which somebody who's probably been grieving or knows somebody who's lost somebody, they can probably relate to that as well. But you might not relate to being a surgeon, but you can probably relate to that kind of striving in your career. So yeah, that's what I've been thinking about today. Save the Cat Writes a Novel. I say I'm not sponsored by them or anything. It happens to be a book I've bought that I really enjoyed. I've still got the rest of it to read, so I'll share bits as I go. And yeah, if you don't have a copy and you haven't read it and you're being frugal like me, then As I say, there is a link below for a free Kindle subscription and also for 2 free audiobooks. This isn't on Kindle Unlimited, so you can't get this on Kindle Unlimited free trial, but you can get Romancing the Beat, and this one and Romancing the Beat are both on Audible, so you can use your 2 Audible credits to get those for free. Or you can get the print book, which I've got, which is good for writing notes, and I'm pretty sure that I'll be coming back to this quite a lot as I write my books. So yeah, it's I'm really excited about writing extra shots now, and it's quite interesting because I wrote the first book just to soothe myself, just to kind of cheer myself up in the dark period, and I didn't give I planned it out with the clues and the mystery, but I didn't think about the character and the hero and the hero's journey, the hero's flaws. But now I know the character a bit more, and actually I'm getting to know the character even more now because I'm going back and thinking about her flaws and her goals. So yeah, I hope my rambling has helped a little bit. That is the book, and I'm going to be live streaming again very shortly today, and writing my book, but not chatting as much. So yeah, it's a really good book. If you need a little bit of help with your story, then as you write, just have a little think about who your hero is, and is your hero story worthy? What is their goal, and what is their flaw, and kind of what's stopping them? What hurdles do they have to face in order to grow? So yeah, have an awesome day, and I will see you very shortly. Bye.